Hello everyone, welcome on board. I wish we can have our videos on now so that we are able to commune nicely. Kindly, wherever you are, you can enable your video now so that you are able to communicate nicely. I welcome all of us on board. I wish to also welcome all the panelists first. Our director, thank you for joining us. Nancy, thank you. The Institute, Electa, thank you so much for joining us. I should still be welcoming Luke, Caroline, Charity, Charles, Colin, Cynthia, David, Momo, and the other David, and the other, that is Dominic. We have Elijah, Elliot, Eunice, Faith, and Grace, Jen, Mbai, Monica, Mogore, Njao, Richard, Stacy, Sylvia, and everyone who has been able to join us. At least I've been able to mention your name for the record. Welcome on board. Happy New Year. My name is Okari. I will be hosting you today as we start our program. So I wish to confirm whether we are all on board and ready to start. All right. At this time, I wish to welcome Christine. Christine Ronga will be praying for us as we start our program. I don't know whether we have Christine on board.
She's not on board.
I cannot hear you well, Madam Director.
Oh, Christine is not on board. Oh, you can't hear me.
Okay, let me check my audio and see whether there's a challenge with it. But meanwhile, we're going to still welcome people on board. I want to remind you, as we prepare to start the program, we'll be having a session whereby I will be posting 5 questions to you. On these 5 questions, after every question, I'll give you a minute or 2 to respond on the chat section so that we are able to hear what you say about those questions. Also, I want to confirm that we will have a link for other questions that you professionals will be able to answer us and give us feedback that will guide our programs for 2021. So first, there's a section that I'll be asking the questions myself, and your chance will be to answer them on the chat section. You just answer. You never know, I may be having the MC's reward for you. And then the other section will now be for questions that will be asked from the panelist platform and also from the presentation that we'll have today, so that we will be able to share together. So I wish to welcome everyone on board. I can see people have started greeting me. Eliud, thank you for joining us. And now I can see Mogore Karanja also indicating that everyone is now clear and ready to start off. I want to confirm if Christine is not on board. Let me see whether we can find her on board. She is to lead us in a prayer, but if she's not on board, we can still invite Nancy or Electa to pray with us. Nancy or Alexa, you can lead us in prayer because I cannot still see Christine on board. If you don't mind. Okay, I can lead us in prayer so that we are able to start and be able to proceed accordingly. So let me confirm whether we are still on, all of us. Okay, let us all bow and pray. Thank you, God, for your blessing, for your love and mercy. Thank you for being with us this year. Thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to worship you and hear from you
and learn from you in our activities. As we start off, be with us and guide us. Let everything that we discuss be of good intention and good health to us as we plan our year. And your guidance be upon us and forevermore. For this we pray, believing and trusting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to start off our program. At first, I wish to welcome you again on board. My name is Okari. I am welcoming you to share with us today. At this point in time, I also want to appreciate everyone who has been able to join us. One more time, I'll mention your name for another opportunity so that you're able to feel recognized and welcome. Luke, asante sana for joining us. I can see your hand. Aaron, Caroline Wanjori, Charity Wanjau, Charles Maina, Colin, Cynthia Kapesa, David Momo, Dominic, Elijah Gibingi, Eliud Juma, Mustewekesa, Eunice Ngea, Faith Oyaro, Grace, Irene Joki, Jen Onimbo, Mbai, Monica Mboro, Mogore Karanja, Njau Ndumo, Ziwa, Richard Kogo, Stacy Zadanja, Sylvia Terosit. Thank you so much for joining us. At this time, I welcome Madam Director to give us her opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okari. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry you couldn't hear me when I was speaking. I think I was muted. Pole sana for that, but now I am here and I can give my remarks. Thank you for the opportunity. And insurance HR professionals, heads of departments, line managers, PAs of the insurance executives, and other delegates who deal with staff in the insurance market. Our guest speaker, Mr. Odhiambo Ooko, IIK Executive Council members, and IIK Secretariat team, I warmly greet you in the new year 2021. Happy New Year. For all our delegates who have honored our invite to attend today's forum, mine is to take this opportunity to warmly welcome each of you to today's IIK first webinar this year. On behalf of the IIK Executive Council, accept a big thank you for your support during a tough year that 2020 was. We invite you all to partner with IIK even more aggressively in year 2021, which we have faith will be much, much better than year 2020. The renewal of IIK memberships is going on, and we are trusting that the delegates represented here today in today's forum will assist IIK in ensuring that IIK membership renewals are done in January 2021, this month, so that your insurance professionals are in good standing right from the beginning of the year, so that we walk together as the year unfolds. IIK is committed to listening to its members even more keenly in year 2021. And therefore, we will appreciate much feedback from each of you delegates. Your feedback will enable IIK to deliver programs that will enable insurance professionals in your organizations to respond to the dynamic insurance market issues. And we know there are many. You will agree with me, delegates, that companies are spending on only what they need. And therefore, IIK wants to hear from you, delegates, on the continuous professional development programs that you want IIK to roll out, programs that will deliver value in your workspaces and make a difference in terms of meeting your profitability objectives. Meanwhile, please note that we have a professional forum on Friday this week, and it's also a free webinar for IIK members which will be delivered by a respected and recognized legal professional, Senior Counsel John Ohaga, who was recognized as the best lawyer in year 2020. Please sensitize your insurance professionals to attend that forum this week on Friday. Our third free webinar this month will be for the insurance executives in this market. Our leaders, and the Commissioner and CEO of Insurance Regulatory Authority will have a heart-to-heart dialogue with them on the 27th January 2021. That is next week, and I know communications will be going out today. Finally, delegates, I pray that you will engage our guest speaker on challenges and issues of remote working, which has become the new norm, even as you share your experiences with other delegates in this forum in order for this forum to be enriched. Enjoy the moments, and once more, thank you very much for honoring our invite. We are happy to have you, and we know that it is going to be a wonderful forum. Thank you, MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Director Agnes. I appreciate you for being with us and organizing that, and the broad smile that you're giving us. It encourages us and assures us that 2021 to Taomoka. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to have you on board. Thank you so much for joining us. And as I said before, there is a session I will be able to welcome you to be able to share with us your experience and your feedback. And I also want to welcome you for this webinar. Of course, as you've seen, it is majorly for insurance HR professionals, heads of department, and line managers. So at this point, I want to welcome you all on board. Watu wa HR, we are happy to have you. I know you like us in ties and nice shirts, bright shirts, and of course with clean hair like Mani and Kidogo. So I hope I am fitting the HR schedule to be able to share with us today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to also indicate the following, that I'm going to present to you 5 questions, only 5. And in these questions, when I ask, you just proceed to your chat section and give me your feedback in a minute or so that we are able to proceed to have our speaker communicate to us and speak to us today. So my first question is, what continuous insurance professional development courses have you been sending your insurance professionals to attend in the last 2 years or so? I'm thinking that probably last year hakukuwa na hiyo sending sana, but I know you could have sent your professionals for these courses in 2019 to 2018. So the first question is, what continuous insurance professional development courses have you been sending your insurance professionals to attend in the last 2 or so years? So kindly proceed to your chat section now. And because I believe you are on your laptops and your phones or your computers, just proceed and give me that answer so that you are able to get that one in the next minute. The question, I will repeat again, is what continuous insurance professional development courses have you been sending your insurance professionals to attend in the last 2 years or so? Please proceed to give me an answer to that. Of course, as the answers come in, I'll be acknowledging you. I know some of you may be typing slowly, some faster, but we're still typing. Thank you, Mugore Karanja. I can see COP. Ruth Kileo, I can see Diploma in Insurance, that is local and CII, or kuna wale wanafanya CII ya majuu. I tried that one and I'm still trying, although I completed my diploma thanks to my HR. Yes. Let's see. I see a COP. I can see the Diploma in Insurance, that is from Ruth and Mugore. Thank you for giving us your feedback. I'm still looking forward to having my minutes aside as you type. Typing in a minute could be enough for us, because that is how fast our HR types when they're promoting us. We appreciate you so much. What our HR group leaders and of course the line managers and heads of departments. We appreciate. So I'm still hoping I can get more answers before we are able to proceed. I just have 2. That is from Ruth. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Sylvia, I can see your response. That is Diploma in Insurance. I believe that is the local one or the CII. Of course, you'll be able to clarify. Somebody is saying, okay. I hope you can hear me now. I also believe that the questions can also be projected as we continue. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see. My question was, yes, I believe I can be heard now comfortably. The question is, what continuous insurance professional development courses have you been sending insurance professionals to attend in the last 2 years or so? I hope I'm a bit clearer now.
Yes, you are.
The next question that we will be looking into is from where you sit, are you satisfied that your insurance professionals have the knowledge, skills, and attitude required to respond to all dynamic insurance matters in the various areas of work? From where you sit, are you satisfied that your insurance professionals have knowledge, skills, and attitudes required to respond to all dynamic insurance matters in their various areas of work? This is a yes or no answer. So let's see your response. Okay, Sylvia, I can see yours is a no. Ruth is a no. Okay. I wish other participants could also be giving us their feedback on the same. Okay, I see Eunice saying it's a yes. Okay, I look forward to at least 5 responses so that we are able to proceed to the next question, because these questions will guide our discussion today, I can assure you so. Also, everybody has been requested to mute. If you're not communicating at the moment, I'm the only one who should be speaking. So if you're not muted, kindly mute so that we are able to continue nicely to avoid the background noise. I can see Faith Oyaro saying oil and gas related courses. I believe our speaker today is much vast conversant with the same. Thank you so much for that feedback. I still hope that we are able to get the feedback as we continue with our discussion. Our third question is, if your answer for number 2 above is no, which specific gaps have you noted that the IIK would mandate it to deliver continuous professional development for insurance professionals can address? So for those who gave us the answer as a no, which for those who gave us the answer as a no, which specific gaps have you noted that IIK can address, considering that their mandate is to deliver continuous professional development for insurance professionals? So just guidance on the specific gaps that you have noted that the IIK can address. I look forward to those who are indicated and no in their response. That should be Ruth, and any others who may have been indicated that it's no for them. If your answer was no, which specific gaps have you noted that IIK can address? Remember, IIK's mandate is to deliver continuous professional development for insurance professionals. So we would wish to know which gaps do you think IIK can address. So I've seen Ruth, thank you. Soft skills training. Thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it. Sijui kama secretariat mnaweza organize zawadi ya Ruth, ako very active. And then we have leadership training for new managers and team leaders. That's also appreciated feedback. Thank you so much for that. I don't know whether all the other attendees have a feedback of similar. Then Sylvia has indicated online insurance and fraud detection and control. Thank you so much for that feedback. I know it is being noted and appreciated, and probably it will be developed with your name there. That is also so. Thank you so much. I would wish that all other attendees can also give us feedback so that we are able to address them nicely. Okay. We will go to our 4th one as we continue. The world has moved. What other competencies and skills do you think your insurance professionals will now require in order to better
We can't hear you well.
The world has moved to the digital platforms. What other competencies and skills do you think your insurance professionals will now require in order to be better equipped to respond in their areas of work? I will repeat that question one more time. Thank you. The question is, the world has moved to the digital platforms. What other competencies and skills do you think your insurance professionals will now require in order to be better equipped to respond in their areas of work? I hope you're still giving us your answers. How to hold webinars and online discussions. Thank you, Ruth, for that. Thank you for the feedback. Let's see any other responses that we have around. I will still have the question floated to you. The world has moved to digital platforms. What other competencies and skills do you think your insurance professionals will now require in order to be better equipped to respond in their areas of work? We will be glad to hear also your response as we continue, because I will now be headed to my last question as we continue with our program. Maybe later on, I'll still be able to float the same questions to us for us to hear your say, even as we continue with our discussion. I have only seen one response to that, and I hope that others are still typing on their responses. Familiarity with online marketing platforms, channels of communication, and channels of communication. That's from Faith Oyaro. Thank you so much, Faith, for your feedback. We also appreciate you for having given us that feedback. So I am still awaiting any other answer so that we don't lock you out. Yes, we have how to use social media for business growth. Ruth, thank you again. Okay. We also note that probably some of us may be not that quick in typing. So at the end of the session, we'll share these questions again with you so that you can write to us in detail so that you are able to write in good time and you are able to get enough to do. Oh, I have seen Faith writing presentation skills too. That is a perfect, completely nice answer. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll proceed to the last question before I'm able to bring before us our speaker. The last question is, what other suggestions would you make to the Insurance Institute of Kenya that will be of value to your insurance professionals? That is, what other suggestions would you make to the Insurance Institute of Kenya that will be of value to your insurance professionals? Any other suggestions that you have that you will wish to present to IIK, and it will be of value to your professionals? I believe with that one, we will be able to finish that section so that we are able to proceed to our presentation of the day. So the question is, and I will repeat for the last time, is what other suggestions would you make to the IIK that would be of value to your insurance professionals? So any suggestions that you have, this is your opportunity to present it directly to the IIK, and I'm sure it will be addressed in lightning speed, because niliona hii mwaka ni ya kufanya kazi chap chap and kufanya kazi kwa umakinifu. So I'm not yet able to see any answer, but I know you are trying to decipher on the many things that you may have wanted to present to IIK. So I'm giving you another minute or so that we are able to proceed to our speaker of the day. So the question was, what other suggestions would you make to the Insurance Institute of Kenya that will be of value to your insurance professionals? I have seen to encompass all players in the industry in their programs, not just underwriters. So all players in the industry, not just the underwriters. Kwa hivyo msiangalie underwriters peke yao. I have seen build, train, and involve regional staff in the industry. Msiangalie Nairobi pekee, angalia pia mpaka Kitui. And of course, msisahau Kisii. Okay? And don't forget to include the Kisumu because of the English capacities there. For top quality English for training. Good. I can see regional staff there, involve them, encompass all players in the industry in their programs, not just underwriters. I don't know whether we have any other feedback on the same, but as soon as you have your feedback ready, our chat section is open and ready to receive the feedback from you. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is my pleasure to welcome our speaker of the day. Now, our speaker is Mr. Odhiambo. He's a fellow of the Institute of Human Resources Management. He's a HR practitioner with varied experience in manufacturing, airline, oil, and gas banking, and telecommunication sector. He's a mentor and employment and labor court accredited mediator. He also holds an MBA in human resource management. His description of himself is a generalist with extensive experience and exposure in end-to-end human resource duties and responsibilities. He has served as a HR generalist in manufacturing, oil and gas, hotel and restaurant sectors. In the airline, banking and telecommunication sectors, he has served as an employee, labor relations and wellness specialist. As an employee, labor relations and wellness expert, he participates in employee life cycle end-to-end, participates in onboarding, capacity building, coaching, mentoring, well-being programs and interventions, disciplinary capability, grievance, and exit management. He scans the environment for changes in the labor laws, legislation, practices, and policies, and collate and analyzes the ER and LR trends and advises management on matters of HR. Some of his colleagues describe him as diligent, which clearly is evident from how he looks like. And I'm sure when he starts to speak, you will notice the diligence in itself. He's also firm and resourceful. His area of expertise is end-to-end HR knowledge, employee labor relations, negotiation and inflation skills, policy development, HR manual development, employee relations litigation, performance management, capacity development, mediation, employee wellness, stakeholder engagement. Is a former governing council member of the Institute of Human Resource Management, Kenya. During his tenure, he enacted the Human Resource Professionals, former oil industry spokesman, is a former chair of Human Resource and Ethics Committee of Kenya, and currently is the current president of Rise and Learn HR Managers Mentors Group. And this is a group of seasoned HR practitioners who give back by mentoring young and upcoming HR practitioners. He currently works at Safaricom, and you know what that means. Ni mtu aliye na uwezo, amebobea, he's super good in his field, and the fact that he works at Safaricom, if we are able to perform well, I believe he can decide to treat us all to airtime or bundles so that we can continue hosting such webinars nicely without buffering. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure now to welcome Mr. Odhiambo Ooko. He is going to be able to speak to us. Mr. Odhiambo, karibu sana.
Thank you for that long introduction, and thank you for inviting me to talk to my fellow practitioners. I'm going to say that the future of work is here. I'm actually working from home. I've been working from home for the last 10 months. When I say working from home, I mean remote working. I'm doing this in my dining room. I'm a very late convert of working from home. I've been in Safaricom for the past 4 years. This is my 5th year. And in Safaricom, we are allowed to work from home 1 day in a week. So you choose your day typically and work from home. I resisted this for the longest time possible until COVID came. So I resisted working from home because I say there must be a clear distinction between home and work. So I went to the office religiously every day of the week. Although I was enabled, I was given the equipment, I was given everything to be able to work from home at least 1 day in a week of my choice. I resisted So I'm a late convert to working from home and remote working. I have been converted now. And now I'm resisting going back to the office. We did a survey and we said, I'm going to work in the office and I'm resisting going to the office. So I'm now a resistor. I'm a great supporter of remote working. I'm resisting working from the office, and my whole perspective of working from home has changed. Now, today we are going to have a discussion. Typically, I'm going to involve everybody in this particular call. There are 38 people in the call. I expect everybody to participate. It's a discussion that we are having. I expect that everybody participates on the Q&A on the chat, and I will stop the presentation at any time and just ask you to participate. I don't know if I'm able to see the names of the participants, so I'll just check if I'm able to see the names of the participants. Then I'm going to be able, at the end of this call, to get feedback, because feedback is said to be the breakfast of champions, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So please give me feedback. I want you to contribute and to share experiences. The 38 company people here, I'm assuming, are from different organizations. So let's share. Let us talk to each other so that we're able to talk about remote working. So there's somebody doing the presentation for me, was putting it for me. Can you share the screen or do I share it? There was somebody who was doing it. I was speaking to a lady called Nancy, who was sharing the screen for me. Or I share from myself?
Let's ask them to share.
Yes, so first of all, am I clear? Are we hearing clearly what I'm saying?
Yes, we can hear.
Then that is fine. So okay, there you are. There you are. Thanks a lot. So the question I was asked by Madam Agnes, can employees record high performance during remote working season? I want to remark this mystery first of all, that remote working is not a season. The future is here and remote working is here with us. So the way I was asked to present is a season, but I'm debunking that mystery and I'm saying it's no longer a season, it's here to stay with us. And I want to move to my first slide so that I can start this discussion. Next slide. So the objectives of this particular webinar that we are doing, we want to understand what are the prerequisites for performance management, because we spoke about performance. So if you want to get performance in your organization, what are those prerequisites? You want to understand the remote working prerequisites and challenges. And what is the future of remote working in Kenya and in the world? Remember, I was holding a webinar last week, Thursday, and the speaker, Dr. Chris Hart, was based in London, and I was based in Nairobi. So remote working, what is the future? We need to discuss that. So this is a discussion that you're going to have. So I'll put a few slides, then I'll invite discussion. Proceed. So what is remote working? There's something you call WFH, working from home. I'm working from home. I've been working for the last 10 months. I can also presume that some of you have been working from home for certain days of the month. So it's also called teleworking or telecommuting. You also can work in shared workplaces. There are places that you can go in this Nairobi. One of the centers that this house here, next to the Hilton, I'm forgetting the name. There are places that you can go and shared workplaces. You go and you pay for a day. There is coffee, there are workstations, there are nice washrooms, and you can work from there. You can work from home. You can work in those shared workplaces. I see people working in Java and in restaurants. So remote working is working from anywhere, apart from the traditional workplace. I saw the person who was presenting the MC. He's at the workplace. He's not working remotely. So we are saying for him, he has gone to the workplace. So that's traditional workplace. But remote working is working from anywhere, apart from traditional workplace. So we have actually changed the division of workplace. And then you see more and more in my presentation that I'm going to say work is no longer a place. So that when you're telling your children and you're telling your spouse and you're telling your mother and your sister and everybody else, I'm going to work, you'd actually be getting a space in your house, a space in a restaurant, a space in a shared workplace, and you're working from there. So for me then, work is no longer a place, work is a space. So the space where you are, then you're able to work. It's in your bedroom, it's in your dining area, it's in an office that you've established in your house, it's in a restaurant, it's in a shared workplace. So the definition of work has changed, and you can work remotely from anywhere apart from the traditional workplace. Next slide. So I've put there that organizations are working remotely. I've picked organizations randomly, and I've picked organizations from all over the world, and even local organizations. So you have the Googles of this world. And what is happening at Google is that you can be recruited now from any place in this world. And you can work from anywhere. You do not have to go to their headquarters. Amazon has gone on full-time on remote working. The place where I work, we have 70% of the people working from home. The 30% people who go to work intermittently. You go on one day of the week or one day in 2 weeks. So most of the work has gone from home. So remote working has enabled people to work from home. And we'll speak about those prerequisites. MasterCard. Then you have Airtel. I have colleagues working in Airtel. They have not been at work for the last 10 months. But they are working. They are working from anywhere apart from the traditional office. The banks, I know of ABSA. I have colleagues who are there because I worked in ABSA before I came to Safaricom. People have been working from home for the longest time possible. PwC, both local and international, have been working from home since COVID and before COVID. So my question, and you start participating, put it on the chat or unmute yourself. Is the organization among these organizations working from home? Is it COVID driven or is it backed by policy? Did it start before COVID or has it started after COVID or with COVID? So put it on the chat. Put it on the chat if you can. And also if you can able to unmute yourself, just unmute yourself and say that one organization so that we know people on this call, how many of them are working remotely. So I will not move until I look at the chat. I'm looking at the chat now. Somebody says no. Which organization that says no, not among them? Okay. Put your organization if possible. Two replies. You're not working from home. Okay. 3 so far. There are 38 responses that I'm looking for. 38. I've got 3, so 35 to go. $35 to go. Even if you're not working from home, that is 4. We are some department where others not. Yes, that's beautiful. There's an option to work from home, but you're not working from home. You're like me traditionally, then may changed. 2 teams alternate weekly, yes, because of COVID driven. So that's a hybrid system at the office, not remote working, yes. At least not working from home for now at the office. Zamara, yes, congratulations. About 20 more responses. Hybrid system at Sanlam, yes, that's beautiful. Let's get some more. At least 15 more responses. Come on, colleagues. Come on, colleagues. HR people are not shy. Some more responses, partly working remotely, COVID driven, but we plan to continue. Thank you, Sylvia. At least 14 more responses. Hybrid system at Minet. Okay, let's move to the next slide. I think we have enough. We're getting enough flavor. So we have done that. So let's talk about challenges. The ones who are working remotely. Madison Group hybrid system. Yes, 2 teams alternate weekly. That's also a hybrid. Thank you. So let's talk now. Let's go back to the chat and let's discuss challenges of working remotely. This is going to be a very involving webinar. I can assure you. This remote session is going to be very involving. I do not want you to be multi-skilling, looking at your work and speaking to Odhiambo Ooko, looking at talking on your phone and doing something else. So please get thoroughly involved. So what are the challenges of remote working that you know, those who are working remotely, even if you're not working remotely, what is the challenge that's not making you work remotely? So let's go there to the chat again and let's talk it. Disruption of family members. Yes, especially if they're young children. 37 more responses I'm waiting for. Let's participate. Interruption by family members, lack of resources, airtime bundles, a big issue, yes. Unstable internet connection, infrastructure, even power. Hey, power is an issue in this country. The that's expensive, it's actually cheaper. We'll discuss that. Poor internet connection, yes. I'm sitting in my house. I did not wake up in the morning to get into a jam, to spend money on fuel, to go to work. So it's actually cheaper for me and the organization. Fear of the unknown. What are you fearing? What don't you know? Okay. Let's get more. Let's get more. At least 20 more. Sitting space. Some of us are in small houses. Internet connection comes up again. Power shortages. I'll show you an internet connection that is not unstable. Yes, working for long hours. Yes. Lack of trust. Let's talk about building trust. Lack of trust from management. Losing control from supervisors. Yes, because it's constant passion from managers. Yes, inability to organize time and have rest. We talk about how to schedule. Leaders are afraid. I mean, employees are afraid they will not be working. Poor time management. Give me some 5 more. I love this. Managers fear losing power. Lack of productivity tracking tools. Yes, yes, we'll talk about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's move on to the next slide and see what I have. Managers fear losing power. Let's see what I have. Let me see. There's another interesting chart. Too much expectation from managers. I'll continue reading as we go along. So for me, the challenges that I've put here that some of you have discovered and saying hardware. The provision of hardware by the organization. It would mean that everybody or nearly 70% for you have to get them laptops. I know some organizations are still working on the desktop. So the hardware has to be there. The software, it simply means that the software includes even policy. So do you have a remote working policy? Discipline enough to end up and getting personal things, just as we are doing now, because some of us, even as we are doing this webinar, doing this Zoom session, are not participating. They are doing other things. So first of all, do you have a remote working policy? Software simply means you give us a internet connection. Now, I'm not marketing, but my internet connection has been very stable for the 10 months I've worked from home. So I'm having an internet course that is very stable, that is paid for by the organization. I have a laptop paid for by the organization. In terms of hardware, I have an office chair that was allowed to get from the organization to put it in my house. So we are going to give workers an office chair. We're going to give them a laptop. You're going to pay for internet connection. When it comes to power, I'm aware of certain companies that don't pay for power. And most companies don't pay for power. So I also don't get power paid for me. It works in the reverse. I don't get to travel every day in the morning and to be in a jam and to spend money in petrol. So that works in my favor. If I pay electricity for my laptop, it is not an issue. But my internet connection has been paid for. My laptop has been paid for and I have an office chair. Why do I have an office chair? Because of sitting long. If I sit on my dining chair for too long, I will start getting wellness problems, back problems. Culture. Now, when we speak of culture, we speak of the way things are done here. Now, culture would mean that your supervisor has to see you every day for you to be able to see that you're working. That is the culture that needs to send. It needs to set change in the matter of mindset, especially leaders. Now, when you speak of mindset, the fact that I'm seated in the office for 8 hours does not mean I'm working. It does not actually say that I'm working and that I am. If I sit at home and you've set proper objectives that can be tracked, then I can continue working. Let's talk about trust. And for this, I would like you to write this down. Find the book by Covey, The Speed of Trust. And The Speed of Trust by Covey, it talks about you building trust with your colleagues and with your juniors. So when you build trust with your colleagues and your juniors, you do not have to see them working. Trust means that you have candor with your colleagues as you're speaking to them. Candor means that you say things the way they're supposed to be said. You do not walk on eggshells. It means that you have positive intent of everybody. So you think positively of Odhiambo if he reports to you. Think positively of John if he reports to you. Think positively of Agnes when they report to you. Do not think negatively about a person. You must have positive intent. And the people you are reporting to you must know that you have positive intent towards them. Then they'll respond in the positive manner. You must be empathetic. And in empathy, you are saying seek context first. So today in the morning, I was supposed to log into work. I logged in 2 hours late. When you call me, you should not call me quarreling. You should call me to seek context first. When you seek context, you'll find that in the morning when I woke up, I had to take my child to hospital. Then I logged in slightly late. So as a leader, if you are to build trust, you must seek context first before you respond to anything. You must be having to show genuine interest in people who work for you. If you show genuine interest, then people respond accordingly. So you set specific goals that are trackable. You seek context. You build candor. You have positive intent. You have empathetic. You have genuine interest to the person. Then you build trust. I would encourage you to read that book by Stephen Covey, The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. That is what it speaks about. And this is what you need to change in terms of mindset for the leaders and the followers to be able to do that. Let's talk of skill set. Maybe some of us don't know how to use these remote working tools. So we need to be trained for the tools so that we can get the skill set to use these remote working tools, even for managers. There are some managers, sorry to use this term, who are still analog. They will use the old system of managing, which is a system of we want to see you there. So we are moving from the old system of managing to a system of coaching. So the skill set is lacking, then you need to be trained, you need to be in those skill sets. Now, there was a response here that some jobs are not remote because they are not remote jobs, okay? Those jobs are jobs that cannot be done in the office. A driver cannot work remotely. They have to drive from point A to point B. An askari cannot work remotely. It would have to do it from point A to point. So there are some jobs that are not suited for working. So as a HR manager, you'll have to go down and determine the jobs that are suited for remote working. Now, employee well-being is a challenge because some employees do not have houses big enough to get a place to sit that is nice. So when I spoke about this, I'm speaking about giving the equipment, hardware, chair, an ergonomic chair. If you don't have a proper chair, you will get back pains. You will go to hospital, you'll be ill. If you have a house that is crowded, you cannot work from home. So some employees will be forced actually to just come to work in the office because their well-being in the house is not guaranteed. Now, because you're working remotely, does not mean that you're available 24 hours for that employer. You need to determine your own schedule. So typically I log in at 8. But before logging in at 8, I wake up at 5. I run for 1 hour. I do my reading, I do my meditation, I log in at 8. When I log in at 8, I log off at, I stop working at 10, I take tea. I'll stop working at 1, I'll take my lunch. I'll have a hard stop at 5 o'clock. And that is known because you have to maintain nearly the same schedule and discipline that you maintain at work. Because if you do not do that, then you're going to work long hours. You're going to get calls being called in the evening at 10 o'clock. Then the work-life balance is not going to work there. Interruptions, you'll have to manage them, and emergencies. This is where you call for trust. So when you call your manager and say, I'm not going to be able to log in, I will log in late because of an emergency. My child needs to go to school. And those some interruptions are there. Like when I'm having this Zoom session and my child wanted to speak to me, you'll see them coming here and we can whisper. Because they're in the house, I will talk to them. And this is now what is required of leadership. We understand that we are leading other lives also. That we are able to do this remote working and also take care of our family at the same time. Next slide. Next slide. So let's talk about performance management before we tie the two. We tie remote working and performance management. I'm saying for remote working to work, go back. Go back. Yeah, there you are. So let's talk about performance management before we tie the two, remote working and performance management, and answer the questions: can employees be able to perform during remote working seasons, which are dissuaded at the beginning. So you must have a mature performance management culture backed by policy. So you must have a performance management policy and a remote working policy. So the two of them, they tie at a certain place, and then they speak to each other. So that there's maturity in how to manage performance management. You must train all your leaders and employees on the performance management policy and the remote working policy. People must be trained and they must understand. So performance, we're speaking about maturity. Because if you don't have a mature performance management culture, then even remote working will not work. The issue of trust must be center stage in remote working. Because if there is no trust, then there is no remote working. The leaders and the followers should trust each other that when you're given specific, smart objectives to perform, then you'll perform. Okay? The one of management gurus, I was listening to a podcast, it's called Michael Hyatt. In that, there is a consultant. In that company, when COVID struck, they started working remotely. And they reduced their working hours from 8 to 6. And Michael Hyatt, Michael is Michael, the same Michael, and Hyatt is H-A-T-T, is a consultant in management. If you find him, if you Google, you'll find him. They have moved their working hours from 8 to 6. And he can testify that their productivity has actually improved. The workers are more productive, they are more happier, they are more engaged. So in the remote working, as leadership, you will not look at the hours so much. You will look at the outcomes. So these 4 objectives, what are the outcomes? So that if I log in at 8 and I log out at 4, you will not call me and say, Odhiambo, I need my 1 hour because I'm productive. So you must have a mind shift from looking at activities and time to looking at outcomes as leadership and even employees. Then you are able to shift that and go able to work remotely. If you are working remotely, I would recommend that there are frequent meetings every Monday or every day or 1 day of the week, so that the leader and the follower and the employee can review on a weekly basis what I call 3 by 3 by 3. What do I mean? You will have 3 columns. The first 3 columns, the first 3 will be the 3 things that you're focusing to do on this week. So you and your manager will agree, for this week, I'm focusing on these 3 things. I'm focusing on reviewing policy. I'm focusing on doing the webinar for wellness. I'm focusing on meeting the union leaders this week. Then the 3 things that you are focusing to do in the next 3 weeks. So in the next 3 weeks, I envisage that I'll be able to do all these things. Make it minimum 3, maximum 5. Don't make it so much. Then the 3 things that you'll do in 3 months. So you'll simply be moving things from the 3 months to the 3 weeks, from the 3 weeks to the 3 days. And you'll have a very good tracker that will be tracking performance weekly basis with your leader, so that at the end of the day, there is no surprises when you are doing that. When you come to do your review at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, there are no surprises. So when you do this 3 by 3 by 3, you give support, you redirect, you agree on how you are going to be doing this, and you meet on a weekly basis. Now with remote working, please minimize meetings and make those meetings that you start by doing what you call check-in. So if you're having a meeting with you, Agnes, today, and today's a day for a meeting, we check in first of all. How have you been? How is your family? How are your children? How is your health? That is checking in first of all. You must show concern. You remember we said that you must show concern. You seek context. Then I do it, and you do it to all your team members. Then after checking in, then you go and do your 3 by 3 by 3. You support, you redirect. Now with that frequent feedback, there are no surprises at the end of the final rating. There are no appeals at the end of the final rating. So that everybody is aware of what is happening. Everybody is aware of what is happening, and everything is done in the proper manner. Now, performance then is not defined by being at the workplace. It is not defined by being on the bum on the seat, that the supervisor and bosses around can see you. You are sitting remotely. It is defined by smart outcomes. Those outcomes that are smart will enable you to work remotely away from your supervisor. Please go to the chat, put any questions, put anything, let us participate. Next slide. When I'm speaking, just go back. When I'm speaking about trust and building candor, there's a way it is done. So you start at the bottom of the pyramid. It's a pyramid. So you say, first of all, you build rapport with your team members, and everybody gets to know everybody. That rapport, you must build respect. You must be respected for who you are and what you do, so that there is no rumor mongering in your team. There is nobody who feels they are not being done properly. So you build rapport, then you build respect. Then you build trust. When you build that trust, ultimately, I can assure you, if you are doing remote working from the office, then you hit your peak performance. So like a triangle. At the bottom, you build rapport. Make sure that you talk to everybody as a manager, you greet people, you find out what they are doing, you do your check-in. Then you build respect for what the person does for you and who they are. Then you build trust, and then you hit your peak performance. That is the way the triangle is. Next slide, please. Go to the chat, put any question, go to the Q&A, put anything that you want us to discuss. So for remote working and performance to tie together, I am taking the assurance that you have a performance management policy. You might need to review that performance management policy. If you don't have a remote working policy, you must write one. If you have one, you must try to review. So the two speak to each other. Then we are speaking of a remote working culture. You must build it slowly, so that when you build trust, it's part of building that remote working culture. When you give equipment, it's part of building that culture. So culture can be symbols. I'm sure the HR people know culture can be symbols. It can be the way we talk. It can be the way we do. It can be everything that you know about culture. So you work at building that culture, so that work becomes a space and not a place. So that somebody is working and hitting specific outcomes. Work is not activities anymore. Work is smart, specific outcomes that are measured on a 3x3x3 basis, and there is constant feedback. Talking about feedback, I would encourage you to build a model of what we call EEC. Example, effect, change. So you pick an example of what is happening in that particular workers, the concern that you have. So for example, you will say, Odhiambo, I have noticed that your reports, which are supposed to come to my desk by Tuesday, keep coming on Thursday. The effect of you giving me my reports late is that I'm unable to report to the board. What I would like you to change is that you must change this thing of giving me my reports on Thursday. Change them to at least Monday or Tuesday, so that it do not affect the board and decision making. So example, effect, change, EEC. So you pick an example of what is happening in that employee, what objective is not being met, and you tell them the effect of that to the organization, the effect of that to your work. Remember, work is like a relay. So my output is your input to do something that you are doing, and your output is the input for the next person, and your output then ultimately makes the organization make certain decisions. So it's like a relay. So the effect of you delaying the reports of Odhiambo is that I'm unable to do the report to the board, and you are unable to pay bonus on time. What I'd like you to change is that you arrange your work in a manner that we are able to give me the reports early enough and discuss with me that we're able to pay bonus on time. Example, effect change. Next slide. So we'll stop here because you're not talking to me. So go to the chat and we'll stop here for the next 5 minutes. Please write to me. Thus far, what have you learned? Is there something that you have learned? Do you have a question? So we are doing a hard stop here. And we are saying we are participating. Go to the chat. Is there any learning that has taken place? Is there anything that you think you should be able to implement? Is there any question? So we are stopping there for the next 5 minutes. Let me get my watch. Next 5 minutes, you're stopping there. I'm timing, I'm setting the timer. So I've not seen any responses so far. Can the MC call people by names? I'm sure you know these people. Agnes, call them by name because they're not responding. Use their names and call them. You're showing me your email. Please remove your emails. Go back to my slides. Thank you, Ruth, for the learning that has taken place. 5 minutes. Let us see if there's learning. Any questions that you can continue talking to each other. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Agnes. Please read the book, The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. That is a book that you must get as a manager so that you're able to do that. Thank you, Dominic. I think remote working is here to stay. Maybe we'll have a hybrid, but remote working is here to stay, definitely. Insurance setup, how can you embrace remote working? Agnes, please put that question for me somewhere by the side so I can answer it. Yes, you must have a check-in so that you show that you have interested in your workers. You are showing them that you are an empathetic person. You are showing them that you have genuine interest in what they are doing. So for me, then the HR person then becomes the chief empathetic officer. You become the chief empathetic officer. When people need empathy, people need to be understood, they must run to HR managers. They must run to colleagues who are in HR, because HR will be seen as the chief empathetic officer. And the other thing that HR is going to do mostly with the COVID now is that the chief wellness officer, the chief wellness manager, because wellness then and safety of employee now falls directly into HR. One more before we continue. My time is not yet over. Please put some more learning. What will you do? I have one question that we'll answer. Yes, great. No, not frequent meetings, scheduled meetings. And then talking about meetings again, if you want to create work-life balance, we have a policy that I think some of you might want to adopt, that on Fridays, there are no meetings. So that you have one free day to do your reports, to do your work, to be with your family, to do all your emails that have been pending. So we'd have wanted to adopt one free day in the week so that you say on Fridays or on Tuesdays or on Wednesday, there are no meetings. Your calendar is free. You are able to do your work. So in terms of meetings, have the meetings scheduled, probably in the morning if possible, and have one free day of meetings. Then if you're in different time zones, please be careful of the timing of the meeting, because it might be morning somewhere, it might be in the evening somewhere. So please be conscious of the timing so that the timing then does not interfere with people. So if today I'm supposed to wake up in the morning for a meeting, then next week somebody wakes up early if you're in different time zones. I think that is it's fine. Quarterly KPIs, you use the 3x3x3. Remember, every week you are doing a 3x3x3. and you are actually tracking performance on a weekly basis. When it comes to quarterly performance, remember the schedule you're doing a 3 by 3 by 3. So the 3 things you're doing this week, 3 things the next 3 weeks, and 3 next month. Then below here, you put a box. So every week when you come to discuss the data, you say, what did you achieve last week? You put the achievements below here. So every week you're putting achievements below here. Every week you're putting, and those agreements that you're putting, you're agreeing. You are agreeing with the person. Yes, you have achieved this. Yes, you have achieved this. So this week you've agreed on your achievements. Next week, when you're doing the 3 by 3 again, so what did you achieve last week? We agree. By the end of the quarter, we have really agreed on what you have achieved and not achieved. We agree on a weekly basis. So when you're doing your quarterly review, we have already agreed on what you achieved and not achieved. Because every week we start by checking, then you say, what did you achieve last week? I say, I agree with that. That was not achieved. Then the agreement is done. Then what did you achieve this week? So by the end of the quarter, you've already agreed on what you have achieved. So the issue of not achieving, and then there is no issue there. By the end of the quarter, we know how far we are in achievement. Next slide. So I'm just summarizing. Policy is important. You have to look at the remote working culture, not the culture in the office, no, the remote working culture. You have to look at equipment, laptop and headphones. I don't like using headphones because they are going to interfere with my ear. So I actually do it like this. I put the volume very high. Internet connectivity. Last 10 months, I've had no problems. Electricity, I've had problems. Power has gone off. When power goes off, there's no internet connectivity unless you use your phone to tether. But power, you have no control. Internet connectivity, you use, whether you are paying or not, I'm aware of certain banks that don't pay connectivity. My company does, some don't pay. Economic chair and table, if you can give a table, the better. I'm aware of Andela. There's a technology company called Andela, which was based in Westlands. They closed their offices completely. The workers were given the chair and the table to go and work from home. So that office is closed, okay? Then you must agree on the communication and collaboration tools. Email, Yammer, Zoom, WhatsApp, it must be agreed which ones are we using as an organization so that everybody has the same tools. So that somebody cannot say, me, I logged in on Yammer. No, the meeting was in Zoom. No, the meeting was in email, internal WhatsApp. So it has to be agreed. Which communication tools are we using? Which collaboration tools are we using in our remote working? Then you must come up with remote working guidelines that says this is how you log into Yammer. If you see this problem, IT will support you on this. And it must sometimes pick step-by-step guidelines that guides the people on how to work, even guides them on when to take a break. Even says, do not sit for too long. If you sit for 2 hours, you can stand and do some exercise. You can stand and do some exercise. So that you are giving guidelines how remote working is going to work. Then you must have IT ready to support. At any time, you must have those hot numbers that somebody can call and IT remotely can assist you in case of any problem. So that is remote working for me in a nutshell. Next slide. So let's speak about this now in more context. We must have some shift in leadership if remote working has to work. You must create and maintain a trusting culture. That is the basis and the foundation of remote working. You must trust that when Odhiambo is at home, Odhiambo is working. Odhiambo has specific goals to meet. We'll meet on a weekly basis. We'll see what he has achieved. I'll support him and I'll make sure that he continues working. That is the foundation of everything. You must have a mind shift. This directive way of working with people, you must be able to move to a coaching style of working. You must empower, coach, and hold people accountable. People should not be sitting and waiting for you to give them direction on what to do. That is old management, that is old fashioned. The shift should be from directive to coaching. So organizations need to train their managers on coaching methodology of working. It can be a one-day course, it can be an online course, it can be that certain levels are all trained, then they train the next level internally, then they train the next level, so that everybody then benefits from coaching. There's going to be a big skill shift, even in the insurance industry. I'm aware that I can get my insurance sticker here. So there's a digital skill shift. So everybody then needs to get digital skill shifts. The digital talent, the own talent is there. It's going to be there on digital skills. So if you are digitally skilled, there's going to be our own talent. It continues because digital skills, people with digital talent will be there. There'll be skills needed for you to be able to work your way with mobile apps. There are times I don't have electricity, I'll log in my meetings through here. I will log on certain apps to work. So you've said you must agree on the apps that are working for the organization, communication and collaboration tools, so that you work with those tools and there's no confusion. Culture. I'm saying there must be a collaborative culture where you build collaborative teams, even on remote working, so that you can build teams that know at certain time you're working on this particular project. Must be a culture that encourages growth, a culture that encourages lifelong learning. And learning does not mean that you're going to be in a classroom. You're doing this on Zoom now. You can do it with your team. You can actually put courses, and that's those courses that people learn and they continue learning and lifelong learning remotely. It's a culture of people working independently without being supervised. People knowing that these are the goals, these are the objectives that you're supposed to do in order to achieve a corporate objective. Then they work independent. It must be that culture. As managers and leaders, we must be able to have change management skills. I know COVID forced certain changes in the way you work. So we must adapt quickly, but we must have those change management skills as managers so that we're able to change quickly with the times. Then, as I've said previously, you must create clarity for employees. You must give employees a sense of purpose so that when they're at home working remotely, they have a sense of purpose. Purpose simply means you know where you're going, and it means knows what you're supposed to do. So nobody needs to supervise you. You are independent, you have a great sense of purpose. It is clear in your mind and in your conscience what you're supposed to do. And then you will perform. You do not need somebody to be on your back constantly asking you to perform certain things in your life. Next slide. So I'm nearly coming to the end. This survey that I'm putting up here is a survey that was done in January 12, 2021. Today is January 19th, if I'm not wrong. Let me see my calendar. Yeah, so this survey, it's there online. I can give you the link. So in this survey, it's a PwC survey done in the USA. The baseline is 133 USA executives, 133 USA executives, and 868 US office workers. And this is what they said when they asked about remote working. Employers, 83% says remote working is successful. 11% have mixed results. 6% says successful. So these are employers. And I'm nearly concluding and saying remote working is successful. The workers, the employees, 71%, a little bit lower than the employers, but 71% are saying remote working is successful. I'll give you the link to this survey. 23% says unsuccessful, 6%, same with the employer says it's not successful. So let's speak about why it's successful, even from this result. Number one, and I can tell you from where I see it, from experience, there's more engagement. Employees are more engaged. Number two, there are less visits to hospital. I don't know what is happening, but I've seen this from the data that I have. We have less visits to hospital. So even our medical experience, and you guys from insurance, you know this, our claims experience now during COVID time is that we have less people going to hospital. There is less stress because normally, typically from my house to Westlands, I would take 2 hours in the morning. With this Mombasa, the way it is now, to reach Westlands from where I live in Machakos, it take me 2 hours. So I get stressed before I reach the office. When I reach the office, I'm tired. In the evening, I do another 2 hours. So there's less commute time. Now for the employer, it means, and there are employers in this Nairobi that I know have released a whole floor because people are working from home, and they have remodeled their working spaces. So it's successful in that manner. Successful in terms of the teas and the coffees that I used to take in the office, and they are not there anymore. The water and everything, utilities I used to use in that place are not there anymore. So in terms of employee wellness, I'm well because I have an ergonomic chair, I have a successful internet connection. I do not spend 2 hours on traffic. In fact, in the morning when I wake up, I actually go and do my jogging and my running. I do my exercise, I do my meditation, I read a book, then I start working. So in terms of engagement and well-being, I'm okay. That is why you see this result. And this is a result, this is a survey that's as recent as this week. So this is a survey that shows you remote working is actually working. The base, 133 USA executives. The base for the 868 US office workers. So we're all office workers here, and that is what is happening. So the next slide. Next slide. So looking ahead, and this is me looking ahead, and I want you to look ahead with me and go to the chart and look ahead with me and see whether this looking ahead, there's something that you can add. So I'm looking ahead, I'm seeing a blended working environment. I'm seeing a mixture of remote and office working. So I'm seeing you working remotely certain days of the week and certain days of the week going to the office. And that going to the office on certain days is part of building the culture so that you're able to meet your friends and able to meet other people and be able to know what is happening. So I'm seeing a blended working place that is going to come in the future. I'm trying to look ahead. I'm seeing a lot of shared workspaces, reduced spaces, because you only come certain days of the week. So there is no specific days assigned to Odhiambo. There is no specific place assigned. So a lot of hot desking. So when the days that you come to the office, you plug in your laptop, you work. The days that you're not coming, somebody else comes and plugs in. So we are talking of a real estate strategy in that your person who is in charge of real estate might also be able to plan and say, release some office space. Because on Mondays, you only have 50 people coming. We don't need a space for 100. So these 50 people will fit here. So the other office space, you can release it to the realtor, the person that is your landlord. And then I'm seeing smaller offices. I'm seeing better designed workspaces that the workers can be able to work. I'm seeing that some jobs are purely going to move remotely. Okay, but also I'm also seeing some challenges, jurisdiction challenges. Remember, if you got an expatriate today to work in Kenya, you would apply for a work permit, a residence permit, and everything else, get for them a house, get for them a car, get for them security, insurance. Now with the remote working, you can employ somebody and is in Europe and you ask in an organization, will you be able to pay for work permit? Will it be required? So the person who lives in Atlanta and is working for this insurance company XYZ, normally he would travel to Kenya. Travel is dependence. You get a work permit, you pay school fees, you pay transport, you pay for a house, you pay security, you pay water, plus housemates. Now you're not doing that anymore. What will the Ministry and Immigration do about Ministry of Immigration? Will they want to work permits for somebody working remotely? I don't know. But also I'm seeing a challenge. When the experts come here, they are given a work permit to transfer knowledge. So is there going to be knowledge transfer with this sort of experts working where they are? It's a question. I'm seeing that their own talent will continue. Digital talent is not there. I can tell you from experience, there are very few people who are digitally talented in this Kenya. So there's a war, it will be in demand. So if you want to change your profession today, go to data analytics, go to these digital jobs, and you'll be very marketable. So the own talent continues. And I know that own talent is there. I'm seeing increased redundancies because what is going to happen is that if you do not quickly move into remote working, If you're not digital, if you're still analog, you have to go in the office, and then you might be redundant. So the skill set will change in the workplace. As the skill set changes, then people who are not skilled enough, they'll find a problem. I started by saying remote working is not a season, it is here for the long haul. So, and the topic you gave me has been dissuaded. Go to the next slide. And these are my last 2 slides. So if you have a question, please put it on the chat. A comment, put it on the chat. Oh, the spelling there is wrong. Sorry about the spelling. I've just noticed it now. So if you have a question or anything, any comment, any commendations, any feedback, put it there. Put it in the form of EEC. So definition of work and workplace, in my opinion, as the person leading the discussion, has changed. So work is a space, not a place. Because you do not wake up in the morning and sit in that space and you tell your child, I'm going to work. Because I used to see you take a shower, you put on your clothes, you take your laptop, you get into the car and you say, I'm going to work. It is no longer a place, it's a space. So that space that you're working for, that is work. Then work is not what you do. Work is, this is wrong, eh? Work is what you do. It is not where you go. So what you do is work. You are doing it in a space, in your house, in a shared workspace, in a restaurant. That is work. It is not where you go. So for me, the definition of work has changed. So work is not a place, is a space, is not a place. Work is what you do, is not where you go. So for you now to tell your daughter, I'm going to work. Yes, you're going to work, but you're going to work in the house. You're going to work in a space in the house. So the daddy wendi kazini leo, yeah, of course you're working. My very last slide. I want to see on the chat questions and any comments. My very last slide. Please, the last slide. Last slide. So this slide is not about work. It's not about remote working. This slide is about you listening to me today. Because as managers, we don't take care of ourselves. We think of the organization, we think of remote working, we think of performance, you don't take care of yourself. And I'm telling you, if you're not strong enough, if you're not healthy, you will not be able, spelling mistake there, you'll not be able to manage others, you'll not be able to manage yourself. So take care of yourself physically. Physically simply means do some exercise. Walk, run, do it once in a week. Please do some exercise. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotions so that you're not a very emotional person. Take care of your spiritual life. It is mosque, it is temple, it is church, whatever it is, take care of yourself because we want you to be strong enough to manage remote working and performance. Please get for yourself a mentor or a coach because you'll not be able to do it alone. It is important that you do that. Let's talk about reading. I've given you one book to read. I'll give you a second book to read. I'm reading 2 books now. I'm reading, I'm reading 2 books. Let me see if I can get them for you. I gave you one book to read. I gave you the book by Stephen Covey that says Speed of Trust. I'm reading this book now, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. I've read it. I'm reading for a second time, and we're still in January. I've started reading this book by John Maxwell, The 360 Leader. So by end of January, I've read 2 books. I'm challenging you today as managers. Read at least 1 book a month. If you can, read 52 books in a year. It will change the way you think. If you are a Christian, please read the book of Psalms and read 1 Psalm every day to change your life. Let's speak about your connections. Strengthen your connection, your 4 C's. Most important thing, every day connect to yourself. Find a quiet place and connect to yourself. Connect with others. That is connect with your family, connect with your community. If there's a community work being done, people are slashing grass, collecting garbage, connect with those people. Lastly, create your own joy and satisfaction. One of the former presidents of America, I'm forgetting, Theodore Roosevelt said this: comparison is the killer of joy. Please don't compare yourself because you'll kill your own joy. Create your own joy and satisfaction. Lastly, give yourself a big dose of vitamin G. Have a heart of gratitude. Live your life of gratitude, then you'll get more from this life. That is my last slide. Please remove the slides and let's have a discussion shortly for the next 5 minutes before we close. Let me see, there's a comment there. Just remove the slides. Remember remote working, the question there, the comment there. Mtoto. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so as I was saying, my screen went blank. I don't know what is happening to my screen. So as I was saying, remote working can be a place where you can find workers working in two places. Remember, we have said that remote working is not connected to time. I gave you an example of Michael Hyatt. He actually reduced the working hours from 8 to 6. And the workers are more productive. Something happening from my screen. I don't know what is happening. There. So that there is not time. Remember, this issue of locking a worker to work on one job is an issue that is only in this economy. In the developed economies like in America, people work 3 jobs. Provided you are hitting your target, people work 3 jobs in a day. And that is what is happening in the other economies. The other question that was there for me, Agnes, was which one? Agnes, are you there? There's another question.
Yes, I am. Actually, it's the question I'm looking for. I'll give you as soon as I get it. It was about the insurance setting. Eh?
My screen is blank, so I'll just continue speaking, assuming that you're listening to me. I don't know what has happened to my screen. It's blank.
But we can still see you.
Yes, but I'm seeing a blank screen, unfortunately.
Okay.
So this is part of remote working challenges that you didn't mention, that you can get a blank screen and people can see you and cannot see them.
But you can speak by faith.
I'm speaking by faith, yes. That is part of remote working.
I have seen the question, Mr.
Yes.
Odhiambo, I have seen the question that you told me to hold for you. In the insurance setup, how can we embrace remote working to achieve desired results? That is how it was. How can
we've spoken about we've spoken about policy.
Yeah.
It's important that there's a remote working policy. It is important that performance is defined clearly for the employee and the outcomes are defined clearly. It is important that there is a weekly review of performance and the achievements are agreed. This is what you need to achieve. This is what you have achieved. There's a clear tracking of those objectives, so that there is no quarrel anymore that I achieved and not achieved. He said, she said. So clarity is what is one of the most important things that you can have to ensure that remote working works. That is something that you need to do. I'm aware that you're already going digital. I'm getting my insurance through the phone. So it means that somebody else is doing something for me remotely. So you don't have to print it anymore. And that printing cost is passed on to the customer, and the insurance company saves that. Having said that, I want to give an opportunity to two people in this call, because I'm not an insurance expert, to also weigh in. So let me listen to the two people to contribute on that question. So I'm waiting for two contributors. Please unmute yourself and make a contribution.
Meanwhile, as they prepare to give us their contribution, there was a question on the chat section on how to handle introverted persons in a team who takes time to open up on what's going on in their lives that may affect their performance. How do you handle such introverted persons that take time to open up on what's happening in their personal life that could be affecting their performance?
You see, if you build a culture of check-in, the first thing that you have to do as a leader is that you have to be vulnerable. You have to be the first person to speak about yourself. And you do not be this leader who's a super leader, as a superhero. You never show any weakness. So that when you're in a meeting, you say, things are very fine. We are fine with my family, and your mother is ailing, and your wife is sick. Then your wife dies. People say, this man has just been talking here. So you must be vulnerable as a leader and show vulnerability and pull people out slowly. It takes time. So that when you're doing the check-in, people are vulnerable and they can talk about themselves. So that when people see what is happening and people see that this is the normal way of doing business, even that introvert will come out eventually. They start by saying, I'm okay, things are okay. Then somebody says, but last week you had a cold. Is your cold okay now? He says, yeah, I'm okay now. Then they'll open up. So it's a matter of showing vulnerability and building a new culture where people can speak without being judged. Thank you. So I'm not seeing you guys, so you'll excuse me. Just continue. Anybody wants to make a contribution, please contribute.
There's also another question. That is, there's a big risk of working for long hours when working at home. How do you advise the HR in redefining the KPIs and evaluations? That was from Alice Njoroge.
The risk of working long hours is there. And the risk for working long hours is that the leaders should also be disciplined. The working long hours even happens in the office, where the leader comes at 4:45 to ask for a report. And that report, he knows very well, take you 2 hours to prepare. So you leave the office at 7. So in terms of ways of working, we must build a new ways of working that we respect people's time, because now you're the family and you're at home. We have a work schedule that works for everybody. So that risk of working long hours is not there. So that you redefine the working space, not the place, the working space, and say work will happen from 8 to 5, the way it was working in the office. You remember I've given you this gentleman, Michael Hyatt, that reduced the working hours from 8 to 6, and it's still working for them. So it does not mean that if you work long hours, you're being more productive. So the ways of working must be redefined. It must be pre-agreed. Remember, I said that you can also have one day of the week out of the choice of the organization. Say, this day there are no meetings. This is the day that you're allowed to do your reports. You're allowed to ease and off. You're allowed to do everything that you're supposed to do. So that every Friday there's no meeting. By fiat of the CEO, no meeting Friday or no meeting Tuesdays, so that you do not get to work those long hours and you get that work-life balance. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that feedback. Of course, there's somebody ameamua kukuchokoza anasema, in addition to the challenges, lack of technology is also a challenge, because your machine has just gone blank and you don't know how to diagnose the problem. But
it's not lack of technology. Technology is not just simply not working. The technology has refused to work. That is one challenge of working remotely. But I can still hear you. What I'm not seeing is the picture. So it means you can still collaborate and work together. So Agnes, that marks the end of my talk. I wanted people to unmute themselves and contribute. If there are no contributors, I beg to end there today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odhiambo Ooko, for that presentation. We sincerely appreciate you, and thank you for your feedback and, of course, having engaged us in such an elaborate conversation. From the feedback here, I will just quickly pick out on a few things that people have put across. This is a very educative presentation that is from Eunice. This is very interesting and educative. Could not have enough of it. That is from Dominic. This was an eye-opening. Kudos for job well done. That is from Ruth. We also have a great presentation. Congrats, Mr. Odhiambo. Then there was also, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Odhiambo. This is very informative, such an insightful session. Thank you. And so many other feedback from above all the way down. I am sure you will be able to have a look at it at some point. So we have Elijah saying great insights. Stacy saying great presentation. Thank you, Bwana Odhiambo and IIK for organizing. That is wonderful feedback. We also need to remember that we have the feedback link to the feedback form. The questions that I started with, they are of great importance to this session. And of course, obtaining feedback will guide other sessions effectively. So the link is at the chat section. If you're able to click on that link, it will lead you to the feedback form that you'll be able to fill and revert, because that is basically also an opportunity to learn from you and get to tailor make things, because we don't want to do things because it is necessary to do them. We want to do them because you want the IIK to do them. That is basically it. We also, somebody has said, tumeshukuru, great take home. If you're working from home, I don't know, now you're going to take it to bedroom or to sitting room or to kitchen, but from your working space, now take it home. And that is wonderful. There are also other feedback that we've received on the chat section. We want to appreciate you all, and we want to say thank you for also joining us. Alafu, I will also quickly remind you that at the end of this session, of course, you have that link. Kindly fill it, give us your feedback, and that feedback will be guiding us in the subsequent tailor making of products and trainings to guide people in the best way possible. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Odhiambo Ooko. I don't know whether, Madam Director, you had a quick word to put across to our guests before we are able to have our final prayer. Madam Director Agnes, if you have any word. Kindly unmute.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited, Mr. Odhiambo. I was going to write that I was very excited about the presentation, and I'm sure everybody who is here is going back to the office or is at home and is feeling that really it is not all that bad, remote working. We had this issue of feeling like it's not the right way, but I can assure you, Mr. Odhiambo, from what you have shared with us, it is really going to help us to take it positively, and we are really, really grateful. Within that short time, we have learned a lot. Thank you very much. Asante.
Thank you so much, Madam Director. Thank you so much, Mr. Odhiambo. Somebody is asking whether you can share the presentation.
I will send it to, I'll remove the two spelling mistakes. I'll send it to Nancy so that you can have it. I'll send it to you.
Worry not about the spelling mistakes. Sometimes we do applications and we write everything nicely and we recheck it 5 times. But once we've sent the application is when we realize the spelling mistakes. That's how some of us have missed on great jobs like leading this country. Now, we have another one also asking, kindly, are we able to get those notes? Yes, they will be shared to you and we'll be able to get them in good time. If you have a last word, Mr. Odhiambo, before we are able to close.
I just appreciate you for inviting me, and I say let's keep in touch. We are HR people. Let's keep in touch. Let's continue learning from each other, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Odhiambo. God bless you too. I have seen the response to you all. It will be shared together with the recording of the webinar, so you will be able to get it all in good time and learn from it. And of course, I will repeat, the link to the feedback form is at the section. The first 5 questions that I had asked, please fill those responses. They will guide decision making. They will guide in tailor making of programs that will suit the professionals in this changing dynamic market. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to now welcome Christine Ronga. Christine Ronga will lead us in our final prayer. For those who don't know Christine Ronga, she's the IIK HonSec. You are able to get to see Christine. She's one of the most beautiful people I know. And of course, I remind her she's the good definition of beauty and brains. I never fail to remind her that one. From my end as MC Okari, thank you for joining us and God bless you. Welcome,
Thank you so much, Kelvin. Thank you so much for the kind words. I want to really thank Mr. Odhiambo. Quite an insightful presentation there. I'm sure we actually taking home something. Like you said, Kelvin, in Ezakua from the sitting room to whichever other room, because as Mr. Odhiambo has said, it's not a place. So thank you so much, everyone. Without you, indeed, IIK would not have had this presentation. So I'd like us just to clap for ourselves wherever we are for doing a good job. And I'm sure at the end of the day, you're giving us feedback that will help IIK be able to tailor make events for you, trainings, and anything else that you want from your professional body. With that said, thank you so much, Madam Director, also for being there for us. For guiding the process, and all EC members and delegates, asanteni sana. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you. We honor you for this time. Thank you for the event that we have had. Lord, it would not have materialized without you. My prayer, oh God, is that each person, wherever they are, you will release them with a blessing. May they help them to be able to go through what we have learned today for the so that it can move us all to the next level as individuals, as companies, as the insurance industry, God, and even as an institute. Lord, we have learned a lot. We thank you because nothing happens without you. Thank you so much. Even as we move on to the days, the rest of the day's events, we ask you to guide us. And it is in Jesus' name that we pray and believe. Amen. Asanteni sana na mbarikiwe. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much.